man, it's seriously been like a week or two since we've actually made a full-on Detroit Red Wings video. So for those who commented Disneyland in the previous one, which was a long time ago, thank you so much. If you want a chance to be featured in the next video, whenever that may be, stick around to the end, comment down the keyword in the comment section below for that opportunity. But today, we're talking a little bit about some of the prospects, and I decided to group these two topics together because individually, I think these two make for some pretty entertaining video discussions, but I kind of want to get some other videos out there too, so we're kind of grouping these together because they're both of players who are playing in Sweden, albeit they're playing in different leagues, but they're still distributing some very good numbers over here. So we're targeting the Red Wings, we're targeting the Oilers here today as we talk about 6th overall pick from the 2019 NHL entry draft Moritz Seider by Detroit, and 2nd round selection Raphael Lavoie from that same NHL entry draft by the Edmonton Oilers. Both of these guys have come over here and have completely shown up on the scoreboard, so much to the point that I think it's really noteworthy to make a video about. So, without further ado, let's go over the Detroit Red Wings stuff over here first, because Moritz Seider recently wrapped up a game with the Rögle BK, scoring himself 4 points, and my goodness, this was an absolute clinic for the 6'4" right-handed defenseman that the Red Wings selected in the first round of that 2019 draft, as he ended up getting himself an assist initially with 7 seconds left in the first period on a goal by Mattias Sjögren, a goal 11 minutes into the second period, and then he got himself 2 assists with 10 and 5 minutes left in the third to tie up the game. Seider's performance puts him in very, very good company. Let's go over onto the Red Wings subreddit and take a look at the comment over here that sums it up quite nicely by Denver Law 14 with 17 points in 23 games, a .74 points per game. Seider has a chance to end this season with the highest point total of any U20 defenseman in the SHL's history. His projected 38 points in 52 games would place him 24th all-time in the SHL for D-man scoring in a season. Not bad for a prospect who has been labeled as lacking offensive prowess. And that is a very great stat. Let's go over onto the SHL and take a look at these historical records and see just who exactly Moritz Seider would be beating out. Hey, the current record holder for U20 defenseman scoring in a season is Nils Lundqvist. He is a very good New York Rangers prospect. Then you have a few other guys, Tim Eriksson, Victor Hedman, which is a very big name, but he did that in his draft year, so it doesn't really count. Rasmus Dahlin's over here, also a draft year performance, but the fact is, Moritz Seider being on pace to having the best production season by any U20 defenseman ever is noteworthy, and it's so good to the point that he actually would be 24th all-time if he ended up with the 38-point mark. And I do like the last little part of this comment over here. Not bad for a prospect who has always been labeled as having a lack of offensive prowess. And this is something that we did note in a few videos talking about Seider, that even though throughout his hockey playing career as a youngin', as a teenager, etc., he was always very offensively capable, it's just in his draft year, the Adler Mannheim sat him down and they said, look, buddy, you're going to be playing with the big boys now. You're literally in the top league in Germany. Let's try to tune down the offense a little bit. Let's focus on the defensive side of the game. It's noted over here in the Reddit comments, but in his draft year, the coach in Mannheim said somewhere that, hey, we're telling you, focus only on your defense because that's going to get you drafted. And hey, it did get him drafted. He was drafted 6th overall, ahead of all the other guys that people were like, how are they still on the board? How the heck did Detroit go up there and decide that Seider was the best pick available at 6? Well, in hindsight, I think it's kind of working out very well, but that is not the only player we're talking about here today in this video. Let's also go over Raphael Lavoie, an Edmonton Oilers pickup in the 2nd round of that same draft. Now, Lavoie was taken 38th overall by Edmonton, and if you go over to the projections, he probably should not have gone there, according to consensus by the scouts. He was supposed to be somewhere in the teens, maybe the early 20s kind of range, but he slipped all the way to the 2nd round, and the Edmonton Oilers swooped him up, and now in the Allsvenskan playing for Väsby IK, he is at 22 points in 29 games played. He's 3rd in the entire league for goals and tied for 10th in points. And as the Reddit comments note, because this was posted onto the Oilers subreddit, he's only 20, and a lot of these guys he's playing against in the Allsvenskan are 23 years old and older. May I remind you that the Allsvenskan is pretty much the Swedish version of the AHL. It's the second-tier league. The difference being is that there's actually a relegation promotion process, so the best teams in the Allsvenskan get moved up into the SHL, the worst teams in the SHL get demoted into the Allsvenskan. So that's a little bit different. Imagine if the NHL was like that, where we had the Detroit Red Wings get relegated down into the AHL for some reason because, oh, they're the worst team in the NHL, and then we'll just take the best AHL team and slot them right back into their place. It'd be really weird if we did that here in North America, but that's how the SHL Allsvenskan system works in Sweden, and Raphael Lavoie indeed has been showcasing off a rocket that he does have. This was posted onto the Oilers Twitter page earlier yesterday. An absolute rocket of a goal here scored against the Modo Hockey Club, and Raphael Lavoie is doing his thing over here, man. It normally isn't really the most common transition, I would say, and a lot of this does have to do with the pandemic, the fact that he went from the QMJHL as one of the top point producers in there, all of a sudden playing in the Allsvenskan of all places the next year because the AHL was delayed and because the SHL relationship wasn't established there. There were actually rumors going around that he was going to play with Rögle, with Nils Höglander, and with Moritz Seider, and with Cole Caulfield too. That was like a really long time ago that we discussed that topic, but for the Oilers, man, you guys have yourselves a second-round guy who might, in some capacity, become somewhat of a middle six scoring forward who has some very talented puck skills. There were a whole bunch of issues with work ethic and overall consistency throughout the past few seasons, but hey, the guy is doing very well in the Allsvenskan, playing against guys older than him, so what more could you want out of this kind of guy at this level? But for Raphael Lavoie, he indeed was a guy that I was a big fan of. Honestly, I remember making videos about Lavoie asking whether or not the Canadiens should go after him at 15. That's kind of how I saw him. I was a guy who thought that he would probably go somewhere in the top 20, but nah, he went so much later. So all you Oilers fans out there, taking a look at your Carter Savoys who are scoring so many goals in the NCAA and the Raphael Lavoies who are doing their thing in the Allsvenskan as well as one of the league's top goal scorers. You guys are really putting yourselves up in a position for success to find that goal-scoring forwards to play alongside of Connor McDavid and Draisaitl because, of course, you need more goal-scoring, right? That's totally something you guys need. I was joking, by the way. That's sarcasm. But regardless, whether you are an Oilers fan or a Red Wings fan, talk to me in the comments what you think about Seider and Raphael Lavoie both doing very good things with their Swedish leagues. These guys have been producing like crazy, and it should be noted. Because for some of these guys, like Seider, for example, he refused to go to the World Juniors to stick around in the SHL and continue doing his thing where he's putting up 4 points in a game or whatever. As for Lavoie, hey, we'll see what the AHL has in store for him soon. Eventually, maybe playing on an NHL roster someday. I would doubt that takes a long time. But hey, talk to me in the comments what you think about both of these players. If you made it to the end, comment down below something simple. Let's just say Vikings, because we're talking about Sweden, SHL Allsvenskan. Tell me in the comments, Vikings, if you made it to the end for a chance to be featured in the next Red Wings or Oilers video, whichever one comes first, I guess. But yeah, also talk to me in the comments what you think about all the prospects in general. Hope you enjoyed this edition of Swedish 9. And bye.